Take a deep breath, do some yoga, and say something beautiful. Do something beautiful. Do something worth doing. Something you've wanted to do for quite a while. Something that you know, guaranteed, you will feel good in doing. And if you go there in your mind now, and what that is, that experience, it is not the specifics alone that make the experience what it is, but the coexisting vibrational, emotional tone, the feeling, that one can paint a picture with 1,000 words to try to describe the feeling that you have when you are in yourself, in your way, being you, happy, your version. The specific description that joy has when it paints a picture, in retrospect and forward spect. That emotion is what must be carried forward into the new circumstances. Because in the end, we find ourselves with unpacked parachutes, starting anew, carrying that lively, powerful sameness of feeling. It reaches forward out into space, like the stellar matter, charging out into the cold abyss, warming and looping back into itself. We are sparks of source creating, but in a way that can curve if one's mind is deliberately trained upon the intention of speaking truth and being source's voice upon the third dimensional earth, the place of contrast and seeming separation. You do your job as your version of source mind, the intention that you actually can land it. You know? You're capable of pre-thinking as we do planning a pattern of a parachute landing. We look at the numbers. Sometimes we fudge the numbers, but at least we can create structure and prediction and comfort as a result of a pre-paved path. There are other paths, and some of them work, and some of them don't. And the ones that don't work are called crash. And some crashes we get away with, and some crashes we don't. But if we do keep getting away with them, we have to trust that we might have what it takes to be a pilot. A trustworthy, sharp pilot that is wise, that keeps making good decisions, and understands the parameters, follows the middle road. That's the feeling when you realize that you can fly, that you can adapt and reapply new rules for new parameters within your flight input control systems. And different craft, different things are accomplished through different actions. But if we recognize that literally and metaphorically life is roll, pitch, and yaw, it's where am I going and how fast and where do I want to go, and quite frankly, where was I just a few minutes ago? Because that sets up energetic forces that affect flight controls in that moment. Airspeed coming out of a high-speed maneuver or low-speed pilot can certainly adapt a path that is deliberate and functional and imperfect but good enough, where the pilot meets the risky moment deliberately, confident and wise, and knowing when to back off and when to charge. Because anything ahead of a pilot that causes a feeling of, I think my emotional state is getting darker as I go in this direction. It doesn't feel right, like in my physical structure. And then I do something, slightly to the right of that, if you will, or up or down, and solve the problem. Keep adapting so that I keep training my aircraft's nose on a path that actually feels good and feels open and subject to even creativity. We don't do that when we're just saving our lives. There's no creative flying when you're flying by the seat of your pants in a dangerous situation that you came in with too much airspeed or not enough, and you're flying your ass out of trouble. Yes, solve it, fix it, pull it, push it, do your job. But at the end, you're going to have to take a breath, and that breath has to work. Because some deep breaths work better than others. Depending on how much is needed, sometimes you need more than one. Sometimes you need a day off, a whole day. Sometimes you can't get it. So you try to make this minute count. This 68 seconds. As you increase the frequency and the duration. Give it a minute, would you? To train your mind on whatever comes when your emotions don't just feel okay, but joyful and playful. That's where we're headed towards. That's flying in clean air. That's the freedom of the seagull to play in the breeze when he's not fighting the storm. And he stays alive long enough to play in the good weather. And when he fights the storm and he needs to go get food for his babies, and she needs to dodge the complexity, right, to take care of her babies, they are warriors in that moment. Each of us has, survivor instincts, a lively spark of force of will. And when we decide that we choose not to die and fight for our lives, we can fight smart. We can fight with grace, which includes grace in the way in which we relate to others when our emotions are truly heated, when we're actually a little scared. And we treat each other lovingly in this moment, in a manner that leads to more good feelings and more opportunities to lessen the bad ones, because that's what's in your face. You negotiate the storm, and then you wait it out, and you keep being a seagull. And sometimes you are a seagull in a storm, keeping your eggs warm. A conversation I had with a friend who lives in the northeast of the United States, where the weather is not always so great, and often in the winter is completely like ice storms. You're not jumping. But she's a wonderful skydiver and highly talented, right? And she can't jump all the time. She can't jump much at all. And she does, and she does world records in big ways, right? Big 200-person formations and sequential, awesome stuff. And she said, it really does. We've decided it's like keeping a candle lit in the wind. You can, because it's not just a candle that blows out so easily, but we do have to try and meet it halfway. We have to nurture not just the hope that times will get better, but the knowledge that they are right now if you let it in the memory of the moment that will be. Joy is a time that does not exist and always exists. Because Source Mind lives there. The angels live there. And they may come down and wrap their wings around us. But it doesn't mean that they live here. They're trying to get us to go where they go in our human bodies, which is quite a feat. Because quite frankly, this place hurts. Planet Earth is the school of hard knocks. It is a school. And it's not always hard knocks, but it can be. Life can kick your ass. Life can kick your ass. And at the same time, with a little bit of knowledge that it has not been gone. When the emotion comes over like a tidal wave that envelops your whole world, and the chemistry within your body changes. The distribution of electrical activity within your cortex drifts from your neo and prefrontal cortical activity, your willed action, the pointed awareness that is choice, choice that can reduce danger and fear through action, and the one that only knows how to attack and retreat and hide and shiver and pass out from the stress. We have an expansion possibility. It's like a pop-out trailer. Your ego exists in its closed form when it does not feel connection, and it sucks its pop-outs in. The expanded trust that everything's going to be all right in your life. Ultimately, it's going to be all right. You're going to survive and it'll be okay. At least for a while. The things that you thought were going to fall on your head don't necessarily do it right now. And when it happens, you'll deal with it. And we'll dig you out of the crater that the meteor caused, and you'll dust it off, and you'll continue if that's your destiny, if that's your choice. And the realization that the feeling can be continued and not just kindled, but nurtured, fanned. When the ego saturates one's eyes with blood and heat and speed, the realization that Source is still there with you, that your nightmare was still just a child squirming in the arms of the loving parent, never unloved, never abandoned, never separated, and always loved.